Welcome to Talk for the Podcast, the podcast where life is reflected through intimate conversation with me, your host, Nikki F. Wett. Today is Sunday, October 14th. I'm actually doing a show on Sunday, which is the official airing date for Talk Flirty Podcast. I also have a special guest tonight. I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Jordan Powell. I'm a professional MMA fighter.
Okay, yeah, and professional. I did Google you because I had to come up with some questions to ask you. So I did Google you, and I got this from Tapology, which honestly I don't even know. I didn't know that website even existed. I would not have stumbled across this information if I wasn't going to have you on the show.
Tapology is dope.
Okay, so it has your record on there. You are 10-7-0. Your last fight was September 28th. And, I found this interesting. You are ranked 6th out of 80 active Cali light heavyweight?
Yeah.
Light heavyweight, okay. 14th out of 133 active U.S. West pro light heavyweight. And then also you are 44th out of 470 active United States pro light heavyweights.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, okay. You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
I kind of know this story, but when did you get started? Like, what influenced you into fighting?
I've always liked it. Martial arts themselves. Done a little bit before. Just when I was younger, didn't really stick with it, but basics were still there. So when I started doing MMA, it helped. But I've always been into the martial arts culture.
Now, what made you transition to pro? What made you focus or make this part of your life?
I think once I found out what the UFC was, I definitely wanted to do it. Didn't care how I got into it, I just wanted to do it. So when I was given an opportunity to really start training, I quit my job at the time and paid off a few months at the gym and got started training. But going pro basically came down to fighting and being able to get paid for it. So that just makes it better.
And then you mentioned UFC. Let me see here. I was going to ask, because 50 Cent is sponsoring, or I don't know how it goes, but 50 Cent is partnering with Bellator?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know what the difference is between, is it just two different fight?
Yeah, it's two different companies. They're the two biggest companies in the world. Just different owners, different group of fighters. They usually have people locked down into exclusive contracts, so you can't really fight in other organizations. But yeah, it's just two different companies.
So if you are a UFC fighter, you only fight UFC.
Yeah,
if you're a Bellator fighter, you only fight. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you think Bellator would become as popular as UFC?
I think it's trying to. I mean, it's already very popular.
Would that be a good push with 50 Cent? You know, he's controversial.
Yeah, so I don't know, like one thing I've learned about UFC or MMA is the promoter really isn't the main thing about it. So trying to use 50 Cent to push it wouldn't really work. Like people won't really care that 50 Cent's there. It's like that's cool, but who gives a fuck? It's 50 Cent. I'm about to watch people fight, so
I'm not a 50 Cent fan, anyways. I'd probably boycott Bellator just because of 50 Cent.
that's messed up.
Okay. So you are a light heavyweight.
Yes.
Are you able to like move to different weight classes? Like if you were like how many pounds away from a different weight class are you?
As of now, like 205 is the weight limit, the highest you can be for like heavyweight. So anything after that is considered heavyweight. So if I fight a heavyweight like 206, honestly, it's just not really advised, but it's possible.
If you move classes and you like start fighting there, does your record like start over?
Not really. It basically stays stagnant in like heavyweight, and then I'll move around in the heavyweight rankings.
Let me see. Now, I was looking at your fights, and I noticed you only had one fight in 2017.
Yeah.
And that fight stood out because you was doing a little showboating, and your opponent took advantage and got the knockout with a kick. And that stood out to me because I just watched did you watch Terrence Crawford and is it Benavidez? Benavidez Jr.?
Oh, I don't really like that much into boxing.
Well, that stood out to me because Benavidez was running around the ring and he was kind of showboating, but at the end got knocked out. But it was kind of hard to decipher if he was really eating those punches or if he was just trying to play off the fact that he was tired, fatigued, and everything. But really, honestly, my question is actually what goes into preparation for a fight? Setting up the fight or like training? Because if you only have one fight, 2017, what determines, if you're going to have a match or not?
Around that time, it was hard for us to find fights. Before the fight that I did, a lot of people weren't accepting the fight because they didn't want to fight me because a lot of people try to just pad their records.
So you have a choice on accepting or not.
Yeah, of course, if you don't accept too many, nobody's going to want to try to get you to fight for them because you're trying to have fights all the time, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, wouldn't you want to?
Yeah, but some people, what they want to do is they only want to do fights that benefit their fight style in the beginning to show their strengths as much as possible and keep their records as best as possible, A lot of bigger companies, they like to try to push that mystique of undefeated. So a lot of people try to remain undefeated as long as possible to get them into the bigger shows.
So do you, because let's see, your record 10-7, I was kind of trying to figure out, do you try to get a lot of fights, or what does that look like as far as reaching out to people and setting that up?
I think when I first started, all I cared about was fighting as much as possible. So that's basically what I was doing. Whenever my coach was like, "You got this offer," I'm like, "Fuck it, yeah, let's take it." But it's better to just take your time, select the right fights. Even if it's even not to just like compensate your own stuff, but to actually work your strengths as much as you can and have enough, I guess, wiggle room in the fight to try new things. So, yeah.
Did you watch the Khabib and McGregor fight?
Yeah.
I bet it on. You know what? I was gonna go for Khabib, but it would have cost me too much money to make a for real profit. So I was like, let me just go ahead with McGregor. And I should not have made that bet. But with there was that incident after the fight.
Yeah.
And you posted with your last fight, you thought you were gonna get DQ'd.
Yeah.
What was your... I think it was like a kick, and then you had a few punches. What were your thoughts in that moment?
It was just a kick, but yeah, when I landed the kick, I seen where I hit, you know, and I kind of made sure I hit him where I hit him, but I was just worried, like, because the ref stopped us saying, you know, illegal kick, so I was just worried that if he stayed down, and them saying it's an illegal kick, is that a DQ, you know, and when he started saying down, I was really getting worried, and when the ref came to me, it was like he says, his ribs is messed up, you're going to win by TKO. I was like, all right, cool. But for the longest, we were sitting there really thinking that they were going to try to DQ me because they thought the kick was illegal. But he asked for a replay, watched it, and seen that it wasn't. And yeah.
What would have made that kick illegal?
If it would have hit his head,
okay.
Since he was more of a ground opponent, you're not allowed to kick in the head. So
it was kind of close.
Yeah, it was really close.
How many fights have you had this year?
This year, just 2.
2? Okay. Yeah. Are you going to start getting more aggressive as far as the number of fights you're going to have a year?
I think right now, I'm going to try to stick to about 2 or 3 a year. I would like to spread them out more, like these last 2 happened like back to back. So I want to try to do my best to spread them out more, but like 2 to 3 times a year, I think it's going to be a good amount of number. It gives me enough time to be able to just train and learn, and then when it's time, you know, do fight camp training.
Okay. So you've had 2 fights already. Is there anything you can tell us about what you have coming up or what we should look forward to?
I'll probably fight with the same company again. They have a guy that he's kind of moving up in their light heavyweight ranks too, so they kind of wanted us to fight just to, you know, they're able to kind of push it a little bit. So, you know, it's possibly that. Just gotta wait for the right time. They wanted me to fight like in 7 weeks, but I'm really not ready to fight again this year. I really want to just kind of take some time.
7 weeks? What's that, like 2 months?
Yeah, a little bit more than a month and a half, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is that like, if you were to accept that fight, what would be your preparation? Like, how would you train for that?
Depends on the guy's style. I think he's kind of more like a wrestler, so I work a lot of staying on my feet. If I do get to the ground, getting up, and using submissions from the bottom, things like that.
Okay. Outside of fighting, what do you do outside the ring? Hobbies and such, and all that.
Video games. Definitely hobbies besides that. You know, I work a regular job, cement cutting.
Cement cutting?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what does that entail?
Have a saw, and like wherever somebody on the ground where anybody can fall, just cut it down and where it's smooth. So people won't trip over it.
Oh, so like evening it out.
Yeah.
You know what? These roads out here in Vegas, these are the most ridiculous, raggedy roads I've ever driven on. Ever. And it's like they don't even care to fix it.
I don't do like the middle of the streets though. We only do the actual like sidewalks, stuff like that, where people walk and trip. But
So yeah, we can't sue?
These roads is bumpy, huh?
I said, so we can't sue the city if I trip and fall?
On the street? I mean, you might be able to. But yeah, that's what they pay us for, is to try to keep it where people can't sue.
And then, how long are you here in Vegas till?
Tuesday morning.
Do you have anything planned? Anything on the agenda?
The magic show. And magic show, eating and drinking.
Eating, okay. Drinking's always good. It's always good to day drink too, if you're like on vacation. There's like beer park that's on. It's next to the Paris. It's free, like you don't have to pay to get in or anything like that. But it lets you see like a nice view of the strip. You can get some appetizers and drinks. You can play like Jenga, other different games. So I go there a few times. That's really all of the questions that I had. If you want to go ahead and take a moment, go ahead and plug all of your, where you can be found, where people need to look for you at.
Facebook, Jordan Juggernaut Powell. Instagram, Juggernaut Powell MMA. Yeah, that's about it. I really don't use my Twitter at all. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, definitely, we'll go ahead and conclude this episode of Talk Flirty Podcast. You can always follow Talk Flirty Podcast on all social media pages, Facebook, IG, Twitter. And the username is Talk Flirty Podcast. Talk Flirty is one word. Second word is podcast. If you have any show questions or feedback, you can always shoot an email. The email is talkflirtypodcast@gmail.com. And until next episode, see you later.